Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of iWorkinSport live interview. This is the show where we talk to accomplished sport business professionals who come here to share their knowledge, their experience, tips, and advice in order to help you succeed in your career. If we're just meeting, my name is João Frigerio. I'm the founder of iWorkinSport, and I want to say thank you for being here with us today. I would like to know if this is your first time, if this is the first time that you're joining this live session. Would be great if you could let us know in the comments. The people that are coming back know that I also always ask them to write where you're watching from. So also, if you're coming back, please let us know where you're watching from. This is always great to know. Today is going to be a very special session, as you know, with a very special guest. And for those that are watching the replay, so if you're not here live and watching the replay, you can also write on the comments as well where you're watching from. If you don't know iWorkinSport, just a quick word about it. We're a platform to help you accelerate your career in sport. One of the ways that we do that, as you could see, is through a job fair. Right, we're gonna have the next iWorkinSport job fair happening here in Lausanne, Switzerland, on the 2nd of June. You saw at the ad at the beginning a number of companies that will be there. The recruitment team from FIFA, from UEFA, from the International Olympic Committee. Not only football, right? Basketball International Federation will be there. Equestrian agencies like Infront and Team Marketing. Many other companies, the World Football Summit and others will be recruiting. So if you're interested in working in sport, you should consider it, right? Also, if you would like to connect with like-minded professionals interested in sharing knowledge while accelerating their careers, and to have access to some exclusive content. For instance, we do weekly career coaching sessions. I invite you also to join the WeWorkinSport community at weworkinsport.com. There's a link in the description below. It's free to join. Just connect with us there. Also, for those that are here, you know, it's super important if you can help us out. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube. That's very helpful. And if you'd like to see more interviews like this, please subscribe to the channel too. Now, let me introduce my guests. Today, I have the immense pleasure to welcome a true football legend, a World Cup winner, a hero for multiple clubs like Arsenal, like Atlético Mineiro in Brazil, like Panathinaikos in Greece, and others. Right, we'll talk about that. I'll talk obviously about his career as a football player, but also about his career transition since he's hung his boots, right? Gilberto Silva is focusing his efforts now in performance coaching, athlete management. He also, I think you can call him a serial entrepreneur. I think that you can call him anything but retired, right? Although he's stopped playing football a few years ago. So without further ado, let me invite the great Gilberto Silva, the invisible wall, to join us right after this. Is he here? Hi, Juba, how are you?
Very good. How are you, John?
Very well, very well. I think this is the first time that we talk in English.
Yeah, it's true. It's quite uncommon for us, two Brazilian guys here speaking English, but it's great, I want to congratulate you for the great effort and the great job you are doing. Talk about sports, careers, and giving a lot of people the opportunity to be back in sport, to work in sport industry, which is a large industry, and but your platform and the way you do things, it's giving a lot of opportunity to many people around the world. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you very much, Roberto. But obviously, I couldn't do it alone. So the support of people like you is super important, to help our work grow so we can reach more people. So I'm very thankful for you to be here with us. I think the first thing that I want to do is actually give a shout out to the people from the FTX, the team that Eduardo Tega put together back in 2019. I know they did a few other trips because that's where I met you, right, for the first time in Lyon, if I'm not wrong.
Exactly.
And then we've been in contact ever since. So I can't, I couldn't not say thank you to Eduardo Tega, who makes this brilliant job also connecting a lot of people. Before we start, Gilberto, this is live, and this is normally very interactive as well. We encourage people to participate and ask questions. And I just want to let you know that there's already a number of comments here from Bicar. Melissa is in Portugal. Bicar is in Washington, D.C. Alan is in Dubai. Tanguy Kerfik is in Lisbon. Hi, Tanguy. Tanguy was an intern for us in Lisbon for some time. He's watching on YouTube. David Ferrari from Valencia. We have Igor. Where is he? Is in Orlando. So we're talking to the whole world, right? I'm sure that there will be some people from Brazil connecting soon, but so far we have Navin in England, Alexandre Diaz in Portugal. Who else? Juan Rubio, Phil Gagan. I was just talking to him. Phil used to run SoccerX. He's a big fan of yours, Gilberto. Once I asked him what his favorite player in the world, and he told me Gilberto Silva.
Wow.
Right. So
that's good. Thank you.
So you have a big fan here. Who else? Farid in Neuchâtel, Martin Ross from Sport Business, watching us from Scotland. Martin, we want you here. Thanks for being here. Jesus in Rennes. Anyway, we have a lot of people here. Thank you for joining us. But instead of, I can't just read all of them now. Mario Medeiros is here too. So thank you, Mario. Gilberto, so as I was saying in the beginning, this show is about career, right? Normally we're talking about off the pitch career, right? More in the managerial area of sports management, all that, but about career in sport in general. And obviously you have a long career as athletes. So can you give us a brief summary of that? I think a lot of people know of your work as a football player, but tell us, I mean, from the start, how you transitioned to where you are now. Give us a bit of your history, please.
Oh, that's great. So I think the transition of a football player or a sports person is not so easy, I experienced that the last years, almost a decade, I stopped playing football. My last year was 2013 back in Brazil at Atlético Mineiro, where 2013, and since then, this was my last year. It's going to be 10 years. Since then, it's more than 10 years already. And
but give us. But give us, before you talk about the transition, sort of quickly. Right. I think it's. I mean, a lot of people that are here know about you, but I mean, you have a brilliant career as a football player. Yeah, and you won a lot of titles. Everybody knows about the World Cup and the title with Invincibles. Tell us about all that.
No, that's good. I'll try to be, make a little resume about almost 20 years of a football career, where I start a bit late, I started when I was 19 years old, basically. My first trial was when I was 16, and then after 5 months, I went back to my hometown to work on a switch factory to help a family. for the necessity. That my mom was not healthy, and then the financial condition was not so good. I went back to help the family, and just returned to football when I was 19 at América Mineiro. After a few years at América Mineiro, I went to Atlético Mineiro, where Atlético Mineiro was like a good platform for me and to give more visibility, and therefore went to the national team, play in 2002 World Cup, and there, since then I stay in the national team for a decade, which was amazing. And after the World Cup, went straight to Arsenal, and where I was the club I played most in my career for 6 consecutive years. Then moved to Greece, to Panathinaikos for 3 years, went back to Brazil, Grêmio in Porto Alegre, before my last year at Atlético Mineiro in 2013. It's a little bit of a quick resume about almost 20 years of professional football career as a football player.
And some very big achievements there, right? Obviously, the World Cup from 2002. That's for us Brazilians, it's unforgettable, but I think for any football fan as well. But then you had a few other amazing feats, right? With Arsenal, you won the Premier League after many, many years, right? And undefeated, right? So was the invincible team. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you went to win Atlético Mineiro's biggest trophy ever, the Libertadores, correct?
Yeah, I think I was, it seems like I was in the right place with the right moment with the right people. I think everything's happened in my professional career seems quite perfectly. At the national team in 2002, we won the World Cup. And with Brazil, apart from the World Cup, I had won Copa America and Confederations Cup as well, 2 times. And with Arsenal, we won, a few FA Cups and Community Shield. But the special one, every trophy is special, but win a trophy unbeaten in England was something really, really special with Arsenal, with the team we had, and at Panathinaikos as well. And I went back to Brazil in my last year at Atlético Mineiro. We achieved, the fantastic title, which is considered like Champions League in South America, which is Copa Libertadores. If we make a comparison, more or less the same status, the same difficulties. I think it's even more hard to play in South America because the traveling are so complicated. When you travel in South America, it's like you travel from one continent to another, more or less like this, But this was great, In every group of players I've played together and achieved things. I've learned a lot. I had the privilege of playing with so many great players, make good friends, and this was the beautiful everything.
I think last thing I'll ask about that phase is if you mentioned so many important things there. Do you have a favorite recollection, a favorite moments there? Once I asked Leonardo, that's when I was a long time ago when I was working at FIFA before the World Cup in Germany, and he's a World Cup winner as well. So I was sure that he was going to say that was winning the World Cup, and he told me that. It was actually his first year, starting at Flamengo. I think he was 18 years old, and then he joined the team with Zico and Bebeto and big names that won the league there in '87. And I was surprised, but I think it's really nice because it's a memory from the youth.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite memory in football?
Well, of course, there are many favorite moments, but winning the World Cup is something unique. It's something very special because I never in my dream had an idea that I would become a World Cup winner one day in my life. And when I had the opportunity to join the team back in 2002, surrounded by my idols like Cafu, Rivaldo, Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho, it was something so very special for me. And then what you have to understand is what your role when you are surrounded by many good players. I forgot about Cafu, Roberto Carlos, and those guys, which they were a big icon in the world of football. And before I joined them, I was cheering to them, and supporting from far away where I was, and then I have the opportunity to be together. And this is something unforgettable, because when you win, you don't know if you are going to have this opportunity again. If in the next World Cup, 40 years later, you are going to be part of the squad. And even though I had an opportunity to play in two other editions, like 2006 and 2010 in South Africa, but unfortunately, things didn't happen, and
Yeah.
it become like a special moment, a unique moment.
Yes, yes. And Gilberto, I want to talk about your career transition now, because you stopped playing about 10 years ago, you're saying, and now well, you did many other things. Just before you tell me how that went, just so you know, I always like to tell whoever's with me where people are connecting from. So Aldrich in Costa Rica is a die-hard Arsenal fan, says that you're a legend. I agree.
That's it.
There's Lutsen Manduca, says Galo, so you can see that he's from Belo Horizonte.
Great.
Alexandre Diaz says Gilberto Silva has an amazing history beyond being a World Cup champion, has an even great history of life. Congrats, João Gilberto. Thanks, Alexandre. Javel says, sempre bem posicionado, always in the right place.
Exactly.
And and Pav reminds that you're the winning goal at the Community Shield 2002. Great goal too. And we have Otelo James from Senegal watching us too. So Gilberto, tell us then about you stopped playing. Then I think the first thing that you did was athlete management. Is that it? How did you decide? Tell us how. Yeah, how was your career after you stopped playing football?
Well, my last year was back in 2013, and it was tough for me because I stopped playing football not the way I wanted, to be honest. I want to play another year, but because of injury, I could not play another year. I had a knee injury, a few surgeries on my knee, and then did not work out back in 2014, and the whole year passed by, and after in 2015, I decided to hang out the boots. But after that, it's like in 2014, I started to a kind of not exact preparation, because I was preparing to stop play football quite a long time ago, before I even stop. My mentality when I get there, what do I need to have in terms of knowledge, in terms of infrastructure outside football, in order to live my life in the best way as possible. Maybe not the same life, because everything changes. You have to be fast to adapt, and be flexible in many things, but especially understand what you want to do. And in
And
2000,
did you have already an idea when you are kind of ending your career? Did you already know what you wanted to do, or I mean, your first step was as athletes manager, right? Did you know that you were going to do that, or how did that come about?
that's while I was playing, and one thing was clear for me: I want to stay in football. This was for sure. I want to stay in football, be part of the game, even though I'm not going to be on the field, play with my boots. I want to play the game outside the field. And therefore, I had an idea of be sports director, and then I had my first opportunity in Greece. Why Greece? I was before I have the invitation of Panathinaikos. I was preparing to have my sports company to work with players. Be like representing players, work as an agent. But then I had a few invitations in Brazil. I declined because of this project, and then the opportunity to come to Panathinaikos came back in 2016, and then I decided to go. But I went as a first experience. Was very interested. Not so easy because when you go for the first time, you don't have uh, somebody to work with. Is quite tough because you have to find out answer by yourself. You need to do many things as I had to do by myself. But it was a fantastic experience, really. Sometimes it was quite painful. Sometimes it was very difficult because you have to solve so many problems you are not used to. Because when you are
Yeah.
playing, everything is very organized for you. You just go there, get your clothes, change, go to the field, train, and then travel to play the games, which also is not that easy. Saying
Right.
this, people think, "Oh, play football is easy." Okay, not that in that sense, but
Well, depending on what level.
yeah, but things are prepared for you. When in the clubs I've played, things were prepared, and then you just
Yes.
act. You go for the actions and play the games, and you have like say the ability to do it. And but in sports director, you have to talk to people, to solve problems, to organize things, to plan the season, to plan the squad, what kind of players suit us, what kind of type of player I want my team. You have to prepare the squad to help assess the manager, the players, and also the board. You have to have to work in those areas to balance everything. At some
And
point
how was that experience for you?
I had to be fast to adapt. Honestly, was not easy without guidance, but I managed quite well, despite the
How
fact.
long did you stay there at Panathinaikos?
I decided to leave very early. After 6 months, I left, and by my decisions, things was not the way um, were we spoke to at the beginning, how things was going to work, and then I decided to quit. And was at some point I thought I don't know if it's the right or wrong decision, but I follow my heart. And when you follow the heart, I think this is the best thing to do. After that, I
Yeah.
came back to Brazil and I started to work with Fred in Manchester United. Then we start to
Right.
work, and I activated again the sports company, which is Partner Sports, to work with the players, to manage their career, and then start to have to also to help some other younger players back in Brazil. This is how
Yeah.
the players, let's say, managerial career starts, after Panathinaikos.
And how did you prepare for that, Gilberto? Because, some people might think that just having the playing experience, being there on the pitch and dealing with clubs and coaches and all that,
Mm-hmm.
could be just enough for you to go and do the work. Obviously, there are other courses that might help you prepare for it. So,
Mm-hmm.
how was that for you? How did you do? Did you take any course?
Mm-hmm. Well, at the beginning, when I just stopped at Atlético Mineiro, one thing I have done was a coaching career, just to have somebody, to help me out, because I was dealing with the injury of my knee and the process of coming back to play football and not playing football again. And this coach was really helpful. She helped me a lot, to understand the process, to dealing with the the injury and the possibility of return to football. And after that, when I went to Panathinaikos, I think it was after, before I didn't do any course, because I have played for the club in the past. They trust in my abilities and the experience of play, in the high level to do the job. But let's say I think some doubts I had at the beginning was just because I was not in the game again. Because even though you can have let's say a high degree of diploma, whatever, but the main thing in football is about how you act, how you lead, how you have a vision to do things. Obviously, when you have a preparation, let's say do um, let's say a course specific to it, is very
Mm-hmm.
helpful. But you have to understand what's your vision, what's the vision of the club, where they want to go, and how they want to go in the middle, and understand what kind of structure you have, to work, what kind of support you have in your back to achieve the results everyone wants together. It's about make a plan, it's a vision, because you have to have a vision for short term, middle term, and long term. The most difficult things in some countries like Greece, Brazil, for example, is the vision for long term, because it's too much based on and on the results on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday and Wednesday. If things does not go right, people get panic and they want to change everything. They want to change.
Is it the same in Europe and in South America?
South America, yes, especially Brazil, and in Greece, unfortunately, is more or less the same. And people change so fast, so emotional to make this change according to the results. It's tough because it in the long term become too expensive for the club, and that
Mm-hmm.
on my mind, even though I didn't have the preparation like a course when I joined Panathinaikos, but for me it was about to have the balance on the field and outside the field in terms of the finance of the club. The club didn't have too much money at that time to spend. Also, when I arrive, I want to see the list of the whole players who was in the payment list. It was crazy because there was players who were not there, and it cost a lot for the
Mm-hmm.
club. You have to find a balance of it to save money, to improve the facilities, improve the squad, and so on. And after that, what's the vision for the season you are playing? And for the next two
Yeah.
or three seasons to have a strong team build up this step by step, But afterwards, when I left Panathinaikos, I joined the UEFA MIP course, to be sport like course for to be a sports director, was 18 months of course with a high ex colleagues who played
Yeah.
the high level football, was fantastic.
So when you left Panathinaikos and then you went and did the UEFA course, you were still planning to continue as a sports director. Is that correct?
No, I started immediately back in 2017 with Fred. I started to work with Fred more or less in March of 2017 after Panathinaikos, because Panathinaikos I worked from June to December, and in 2016 and 2017 March, more or less, I started to work with Fred. And afterwards, I decided to join the course of UEFA MIP just to have to understand what this course have inside to help me out, to let's say, to connect all the ideas I have, all my experience as a football player, but have the theory parts of management structure to implement my ideas on a better way of and it was great because the teacher, the instructors, but also the methodology was great. And the people you work together, I did the course together, all high level players, ex-players, where you share the knowledge was so rich because you learn from them a lot, the way, their ideas, their cultures, and so on.
Right, right. Gilberto, there's a few more comments here. Just so, Tanmoy says hello from Japan. It says it's a late night there, but the sights of Gilberto's World Cup winning heroics, it's in his memory. We have Biplav Gautam watching in California, and Bruno Vanderlei says hello from London. Great memories with Gilberto last summer in Orlando for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Says that you're a great snooker player too, almost as good as in football.
Yeah, I played. Was good. Was a good fun. Was a good fun.
And how did you then move from athlete management? I think I froze. How did you move from athlete management to coaching, performance coaching?
Well,
Or are you still doing both? Right? Are you still managing a few careers?
Yeah, I still have some players. I work with them, and not many because you have to, to have quality, in the job you do, in the work you do, and to give them the right attention, to do things properly. And but even before, and then I've always been, let's say, work in different areas, and after this course in UEFA, I had done also the managerial course in CBF Brazil, CBF Academy, and just to be prepared, for the next level. What's the next level? You never know. What's the next challenge? You never know. But you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready to. Doesn't matter what you do. I have the confidence and the right knowledge to go for the opportunity. That's why I prepare so hard. And then back in 2021, I met my business partner, Susana Torres, which she's a coach for more than 10 years here in Portugal. And I have done her certification, the course, which is very intensive course to prepare to learn the process, the process she built, the methodology she built over the more than last 10 years. And I became fascinated by this this methodology because it's about self-development. Something
Right.
I always liked when I was playing, because while I was playing in a few clubs, we had an opportunity to work with some psychologists, and I like the concept. And I had some opportunity to have some coaches as well, some coaching sessions with in some moments in different clubs. I really love this idea of self-development. And when I had the opportunity to learn, after football, it was fantastic. But something, was quite nostalgic for me because afterwards I told her, Susanna, I would love to have met you while I was still playing. And I'm sure all this methodology would have helped me a lot, because to have a better vision, to have a better knowledge about things, about the atmosphere, the place we are, how to make things better, how to improve my skills, my performance, see how to help others, how to influence others, influence the atmosphere I'm in order to get the results we as a team want. Well,
Right.
it was, but
Well,
I've learned, I've learned, and I had the opportunity to come, and then we start a company together called SWC, which is Sports World Coaching.
yeah. So exactly. So you're telling all these things that you learned, and I wanted to ask you to tell then the audience a bit of what that is. For instance, if someone comes and go to the company, to the site there. There's actually, we put a link in the description so people can, after this, easily go and check the services that you provide. But maybe tell us a bit more how you operate. So someone, who is someone that should go and look for you? What kind of help would you provide to them? And I know that you operate for corporates, right, for clubs, but also for individuals, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a methodology here at SWC to help people get the results, to operate in high performance and go from point A to B, and the methodology help them to self-develop. I think it's about develop the human to perform as a professional. Normally, we work with sports people, but my business partner, it's a long time work with the corporate people as well. And our methodology are structured to work with individuals, to group of players, to sports director, to leadership in sports, any kind of sports, and to corporation as well, different corporations. This is what we do, helping them develop themselves. Because when you become
Give,
a
give,
better
give us
player,
an example. Someone that might be watching, say, "Oh, I might still need to go and look for them and for Gilberto for his team." So, what would they find? Give us an example of how you already helped someone, or you can help someone else.
oh, is we through the structure we have, with the methodology, they go through with this methodology step by step. Is one session we normally work a week. It's a coaching session what we provide to them. The coaching session is based on questions. Very so many questions in the methodology we have. And on each one is about taking the individual, the athlete, or somebody else who wants to work with us, bring them for the next action. What the next action that he needs to do in order to improve what he wants to get the result he wants to get. For us, it's important that the person or the athlete or whoever work with us get the results, which is
Right.
important because take from one place to another place, improving their performance, improve the way they think, they behave, to see things on a better way, but improve themselves also as a professional. Because in the end of the day, people wants the results. For example, we have done a work with a football club here in Portugal, and when we start the work with the players, we work with the team, not the staff, but they were down in the bottom, and they hired us for 10 games. And the first game, they were, I think, the second from the bottom up, and we left after 10 games. They were in the 8th position. I think this helping them, having the feedback of the players, how they improve their mentality in order to get the results and think better as a team and to get the result, because it's frustrated for them when they work so hard during the week and don't get the result at the weekend or in every game. When you start to work with them, our work basically is to facilitate the work of the coach, the manager, because we were in the middle between the manager and the coach, and we were here in the middle, facilitate this communication, helping the players to through the methodology, the exercise we give them, through the actions we provide them to do, and the report, the improvement, and the feedback was fantastic. I think this is when you help them, and suddenly the feedback they give you, that when we start, they were one team. Before we start, they were one team. After a process, a time we were working, they were a much better, let's say, person, performing as a professional.
Great. Well, for anyone that's want to try that out, there's, as I said, a link in the description, SWC, right? There they can go, if they're watching YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, they can find the direct link there. You said that there is a exploratory session first, so is that a free first session, or how does it go? And then you understand if you actually can help and work with them, and how to work with them. Is that it? And then you continue.
Yeah, there we have people, when they go to the website, and then they go and book like a strategic session just to go through. There is a lot of a questionnaire where we go through with the coachee, and as we call them, when they come to a session with us, and just coachee, to see how they are going to to feel like, if they enjoy or not. And therefore they say, okay, I want to continue. And then we have 12 more sessions with them where we work through our methodology with them.
Right. Gilberto, just so you know, there are questions here from Mario, from Alessio. Stay there for a bit longer. We're going to get to those questions in a bit. Actually, one of the topics we're going to talk right now, right after this. There is Sarah Lewis as well, who was already one of the persons that I interviewed here. She says, you're an Arsenal legend, Gilberto. I think she was at the Arsenal Stadium today. She said, I saw you this morning on the new stadium wrap, taking your place as a key part of the Invincibles. So you're still very much featured there. There's Amanda Ramos, who says it's so important for people to hear you. Such a big player, learning from a woman in sports. Humility is part of sports, no matter the gender. I'm a woman. I moved to Paris to finish a master's degree in sports. So yeah, I think she's talking about how you learn from your business partner. And there's Davide Ferrari, also commenting on that and agreeing very much with what Amanda said. Gilberto, so apart from the coaching business that you're running, the Sport World Coaching, you also, as I mentioned, have many other activities, right? I mean, you have some.
Yeah, I still do.
So investments and entrepreneuring. You mentioned a couple to me sort of earlier. Maybe you want to talk about those ventures too. So you've been very. Actually, let me ask you before you answer that. Do you work more now when you were playing? Because it seems that you don't stop.
I work much more than before. When I was playing, it was hard, but one activity basically. And on that time, when I was student player, I started to invest in construction. And but I was on a different way. I did not own like the construction company just after I stopped playing football. But construction is something I still invest, and we have some projects back in Brazil. But also in the last.
But you invest in technology too.
Exactly. Also in the last few years, I joined a project called Striver, which is a technology platform and of fun engagement. And very soon we are going to launch this platform in the market. And I'll let you know, João. And I hope we have an opportunity later on to talk about it more when we launch it. But Strive is a
Let's do
platform.
one about Striver.
Exactly. Strive is a platform of fun engagement, where we are going to use also the sports to make people interact with their idols. We are we are speaking to some football clubs in Europe, in Brazil, other countries, but also different sports like NFL, NBA, to join the platform. It's going to work like, let's say, a social media platform, but with different metrics, and
Yeah.
where the fans can interact with their fans and get response from them. With the clubs, we have the partnership. This is the idea, the concept.
Right.
But one thing we are working very hard and very specifically is about the moderation of content to stop the online abuse, which has been, so tough for many people around the world. Some sports people, they have had a very bad experience in social media, facing online abuse, when they don't win the game, which is very sad. And
Yeah.
we are working very hard on this, and I hope, we are working some other things, but we are going to keep this for the moment. When we launch it step by step, we are going to improve the platform, but we are almost ready to come to the market. This is a project we have been working since 2016, and it's amazing because the purpose of this project came, in a beautiful way, where my friends and partner now, my business partner, Tim Chase, when he had an idea of building this project, we had a different name called True Challenge. How this came about, this idea? He became a single father, and as he was seeing his son, watching YouTubes and very young, he decided to create something where he could use technology but interact with some things with his friend. And True Challenge
Nice.
is a platform where he creates some challenge in sports, and could film from his phone, his mobile, and
Nice.
upload and challenge the friends to do the same, or how, let's say, how many keeping ups you can do in 1 minute, and then challenge another friend and go viral, which was this was the purpose, to help the kids not be stuck with the technology, their mobile, iPad, or whatever, sitting down in a chair or sofa, but bring them to act using the technology, but acting in sports.
Yeah. No, it sounds really, really interesting. And for people that want to know more and follow, Striver, be informed right when they launch. I know that you have an Instagram page,
Yeah.
and we also included a link for that page in the description of the video. So if people want to click and then already start following Striver there, they can do so. Listen, Gilberto, we have obviously a few more minutes to go. And as I said, there's a few questions here, right? If I can maybe get to those. Um, let me, has one here from Mario Medeiros. Says, how do you see the current football scenario of having more investors and investment funds acquiring teams? Do you believe this trend will continue? And obviously, there is a big change happening in Brazil as well. By the way, I think there's a second comment from Mario here. Let me see. He said, as an Atlético Mineiro fan, I would like to thank you for all his work and for helping us to win the Copa Libertadores. Muito obrigado.
Thank you.
You're incredible.
Thank you.
But talking about the investments in football.
I think this we have seen this quite a long time happen. I think the last few years increase the number of people invest in football, spend a lot of money, as you have seen since when it start with Chelsea, basically, it was something that I had an opportunity to be close by when I was at Arsenal, when Abramovich came to England and bought Chelsea, and then some other investor came, and then we see the case of Leicester. Now, we are talking again about Manchester United in the last couple of weeks. Maybe could be sold to another group, and we have seen this situation also in Brazil. As they change their status, they change the law to change the status of the club, where they can receive foreign investment. Somehow, I think this is going to benefit the sports, benefit the game, because looking to Brazil, for example, for some clubs, it's been so hard the way they are operating. It's very complicated because their status does not help the club. Does help some people only because they go and they make a lot of debts. They cannot find a solution to pay their expenses, and they leave the club in a very terrible situation. But by
Yeah,
changing the law, giving them like responsibilities, who owns the club? I think this is important. Have somebody to own the club is like has to be treated like every business, where somebody has the responsibility to run the business, make it, let's say, sustainable and then profitable. This how it works, but as we have seen in Brazil, was not like that many occasions. But as we have seen also some situations where you have multiple club ownership, where I need to, let's say, dive a little bit more to have a better opinion about it. But somehow, some groups are going to have a big control in football and a big stake in football because of multiple clubs. This can, at some point, be a big issue for football, where they have to find a way to deal with that.
right. And do you think, Gilberto, then say that the Brazilian clubs follow that process, and many of them actually turn into companies or SAFs, as they call in Brazil. Do you think if they do that, there will be a chance for those clubs to be able to compete with European clubs again, as they used to do in the past, or that ship has sailed and it's too big a difference now?
Well, if we look, let's say, England to compare to Brazil or any other league, is going to be a huge difference for anybody, every league. Even when we compare England with Spain, Italy, there is no comparison. England too much high, but there are some one league which is improving very fast, and which is MLS. People are not paying so much attention the way they are doing things, but the Americans, they are very, very smart and very good in what they do in terms of business and thinking long term. And they have their business model, which they are not going to change. Maybe for instance, compared to the business model of the rest of the world, and which has been work according to their plan. But they are growing very fast, because before, was not so easy to see many players from MLS being sold so expensive to Europe, as we have seen right now. And but for Brazil to compete, the clubs, they need, let's say, better management. If people,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you don't have a right management, a better management, how to to deal with things, and everyone be responsible in what they do, how to spend the money wisely, but think in the future of the club, not short term. Because what they do sometimes, okay, I'm going to build a team this year to be a champion. Come on, It's not going to work in short term. Maybe can work in short term, but in medium and long term, it's not going to work. You have to spend a lot of money. Maybe some of those clubs don't produce this amount of money. Hello? Hello?
Sorry, Gilberto, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, back now.
Right. Wait, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let me put you here in the screen, in the big screen. I don't know what happened in the back. So there's a very interesting question here from Vaibhav Singh. We're talking about now the importance of money in sport and how that's grown so much. And he says, with your experience, do you reckon that sports development and sports for development can be carried out without a lot of money involved, but with utmost motivation? So a group of very motivated people could do that, or is money that important?
I think money gives, let's say, the opportunity to have a better infrastructure and to provide, the fields, the all the conditions for them to practice and to spend money, to travel, and so on. I think this is part of the development as well. But it's important, the leadership, who leading this project, who are the people involved about it, what are their vision about it. Because it doesn't matter if you have so much money, as we have seen now, many big clubs. Let's say if you turn the clubs in England, for example, many of them, they have a lot of money, but how many players in their academy go for the first team every year? How many players they produce from the academy, and they are there 5, 6, 7 years, and then they became one of the first team play. It's not that easy because when they are in the academy in the big club, and the process of the transition from the youth for the professional in the last year is very tough. So for some of the players, it's very difficult, this transition from the professional to from the youth academy to the professional team. But it's about you have to have a desire of, obviously, when you talk about motivation people, you have to have the leadership to motivate the people. Because how you motivate them? What motivates those people to become a better player? What are their purpose in life, in sports? If you don't have something, some purpose to motivate you to wake up every day when it's raining, when it's sunny, very hot, when the weather is not good, when the field is not good, when you have to run 10 kilometers, work very hard throughout of a pain, who are going to motivate you if you don't have a purpose? I think it's
Yes.
important to have a purpose. I think this is the motivator factor. For example, talk about purpose. Many young players in Brazil, why they succeed? Because of their purpose. What are their purpose? Necessity of helping their family. They play for their family. Doesn't matter how they wake up the next day after a hard session day before, but they are full of pain. They are not motivated. But when they think about their purpose, okay, I have to go for training because it's not only for me, it's for them, for my father, for my mother, for my brothers and sisters. I will do my best to achieve the result because in many cases for us in Brazil, football is a way of living. I live about the community we are involved, but also a way of get away from the problems in life, the criminality, drugs, and many other problems in society. And the football is a platform for us to interact with our friends. And through that, we have a possibility to dream, about become a football player because we grow up watching our idols, and then when you feel okay, I think I have a feeling to play football to become a professional, and then come the purpose to motivate
Yes.
you to do things right. I believe this. The purpose can motivate a group of, even though if they don't have like so much money, but if they have a right purpose in their life, in their football plan and vision, they can succeed and work
Yeah,
hard.
100%. There's a very nice book called Start with Why by a guy called Simon Sinek that
Just
talks
reading.
exactly about. Sorry?
I'm just reading this book right now.
Ah, great. Yeah, it talks about that in a way, the power of a purpose,
Yeah.
knowing your why you do something. So 100%. And then that will lead to Grit, which is another good book that I can recommend as well. Gilberto, we passed the hour already. So it's taking too much of your time. I cannot thank you enough, but there is maybe two more questions that arrived here. One you already answered. So, well, actually, three questions. One from Jesus.
Hello, hello.
Moments. You mentioned you have Metelo. James is asking you, what would be your advice to aspiring agents?
Well, for the wants to be agent, I think the same preparation you need to have, to be a you want to be a player, you want to be a sports director, or you want to be a coach. Prepare to be an agent because some people, if they don't know the industry, is they think, okay, I'm going to get some players and to work with some players and make a deal. It's not that easy because you have to build up your network, you have to travel, you have to give assistance for the players. It's a tough work, it's a tough job, and but preparing yourself well, because it's important to have an idea to help the players, and to help them with the right advice, to help them with the right guidance. It's not only about football, but help them to become a better person. And the result is the consequence of hard work. In every position you want to be in football, if you want to be an agent, if you want to be a commentator, if you want to be a player, if you want to be a coach, doesn't matter. You have to work hard, but prepare for it, because work as an agent, you need to give answer for the players when they ask you. It's important to work with your ethics, with use the network you have, or if you don't have, you have to build a network. It may take time, you need to be patient, but if you have a passion for it, you have to try. I think this is
Yeah,
important. You only know if you try.
yeah. Thank you, Gilberto. There's a question here from Alessio Pietra. He says, I think you talked about it a little before, but not very specifically. So, what is the main difference between playing in Brazil and in Europe?
I think the logistics is something very hard in Brazil, because not many clubs um, have the facility to fly in a private jet, like in
Hmm.
England, right? For example. Now the distance are so high, it's very difficult. In some case, the some of the fields are not the best fields, but in general, the football is the same. But there are some specific things, like this, the logistics and the weather, which is very hot. But
But
most of the country,
what about on the pitch? I think we, especially, I think, we see the football that is being played in Europe seems much faster than what we see in Brazil nowadays. I think the Premier League is a different world. It's almost like a different sport. It's non-stop, go, go, go. But even in other leagues that are more tactical, even the Italian or others, sometimes it feels that a stronger is the training different. Is there other many major differences, or not really? In the end, it's all the same.
I think maybe the concept, but it's difficult when, for example, you compare the speed of the game when you play in 12, 10 degrees, when you play in Brazil, 4 o'clock in the afternoon of 30 degrees. The speed is not going to be the same. This is a fact. And this is one aspect that makes things looks like the Brazilian football is slow, but because of the weather, this is one aspect. And then is the cultural methodology, the way the Brazilian coach, now not only the Brazilian coach, but many foreign coaches came to Brazil, especially Portuguese, and they are working in the country right now. And it's the approach of them, the strategy of the game, the tactics, and but it's important to the direction they give to the players, to help them to improve every day looking how they can improve their games and the performance of the team, the individuals, and then the team. This is very important.
Very good, very good. Gilberto, I took way more than 1 hour here. I'm half Swiss now, so I'm kind of quite try to be precise with the time. But I can't really thank you enough for doing this, for being here with us. It was so good to learn more about your history, but also what drives you, about your purpose that you showed us here. Right, so it was really, really great. I'm sure that everybody enjoyed, and yeah, I think you're a lesson, man. You're an inspiration for everyone that loves football because of the way you played, because of what you achieved, but also how you made this transition and how you keep working. It's not just I won in the past and now just wait to die. You're going and achieving new things and learning. So you're one of those, um, I read somewhere and I totally agree, probably multiple times, that leaders are lifelong learners. And you're an example of a lifelong learner. So you keep learning and you serve as an example because of that. So thank you so much for doing this and being here with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you guys. See you next time.
See you. Stay there for a second. Don't go. Let me finish the stream, and I'll be with you in 1 second. Bye bye, everyone. See you soon. Next week we meet again for another live interview. Bye bye. Let me finish this. Got it? Oh, yeah.